from the SF Standard how the Shiesty mask became the San Francisco accessory of choice. Well, it's probably because San Francisco is a completely degenerate city full of criminals, but they say some think wearing one can keep you from getting arrested. Others say it's the fastest way to get on a cop's radar, and they're not going to do anything anyways. It's called the Shiesty mask, and depending on who you ask, it's either a street fashion trend or a symbol of urban lawlessness, or perhaps both. But these days in San Francisco, it's everywhere.
To an interesting debate that's happening in San Francisco. The non-COVID mask has become the latest.
The non-COVID mask. So we spent 3 years screaming and yelling about wearing a mask, wearing two masks, getting the vaccine. But then when somebody else chooses to wear a different kind of mask, you don't really want that so much. I think in New York, they've even gone as far as to ban the mask. But it even makes a little bit more sense there because it gets cold. In San Francisco, it's 70 degrees 345 days a year. It rarely gets lower, rarely gets hotter. But for whatever reason, I mean, we know by now that in San Francisco, they don't believe in crime.
You guys worried about consequences like from the police out here?
What? San Francisco doesn't believe in crime. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Shout out the DA though. Oh, shout out London Breed too.
Streetwear accessory, but some are critical of its rise as a fashion statement. Here's what they look like. Our media partner, the San Francisco Standard, published this new article exploring how the Shiesty mask caught on. It covers someone's head, neck, and mouth, but leaves their eyes exposed.
Yeah, it caught on. They started calling it the Shiesty mask recently, but it's been around for ages. And maybe people weren't wearing it in San Francisco, but in actual cold climates they were. But in San Francisco, they just use it to quite clearly commit crimes. You can see it all through the comments. We found it mostly in areas where people steal, buy, and sell drugs. Anyone wearing those things are up to no good. Literally no one in SF wears that except criminals who want to hide their faces. It goes on and on.
Joining us live now to explain this is San Francisco Standard reporter Joel Umansor. Hey, Joel.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks. Give us the background. What is the Shiesty mask? Who popularized it?
So, yeah, the Shiesty mask has kind of grown over popularity, not just in San Francisco, but nationwide since the pandemic and the mask restrictions went in place around that time, primarily through, hip hop and rap. And rapper Pooh Shiesty from Memphis kind of popularized the trend, and it's kind of...
His name is Pooh Shiesty. Okay, so whatever, Pooh, that's a pretty standard hood name, but Shiesty, of course, right? I mean, he literally calls himself a criminal, a degenerate, right? What does Shiesty actually mean? I don't really know. But for many, many years, it's basically meant just, creepy and slimy and criminal and degenerate.
Spread to different areas of the country now.
I know it came up during the pandemic, but really doctors will say that's not very good against spreading the.
Oh, yeah, the scientists and the doctor say, don't wear that. I highly doubt they would even say don't commit crime because they would probably be on board with that. In fact, if you committed a crime, they would throw all of their Rona restrictions out the window and tell you to go protest because a criminal got arrested by a cop. There's another story. I'm getting a little off track here, as per usual. There's another story where the Alameda County District Attorney, who is facing a recall because she's completely criminal, decided to bring charges against police officers who I guess were responsible for the death of a prisoner. But even in the local news reporting, they say he died of an overdose.
According to an autopsy report, his death was caused by the toxic effects of methamphetamine, with the stress of the altercation, morbid obesity, and alcoholism contributing. Under the previous DA, Nancy O'Malley, an investigation cleared the officers. But under Price, an investigation was reopened in 2023.
But they just don't care. And I guess that's her way of pushing back on a recall. Different story. I digress.
Virus. It's nonetheless, that's when people start wearing it. So who is wearing it locally? Like, is there a particular age group, particular area of the Bay Area?
So you can find it all over, but we found mostly around, the Tenderloin, the Mission, and it's...
The Tenderloin and the Mission District, mostly. Okay, so the Tenderloin is nationwide news for being a completely despicable, disgusting, open-air drug market. And the Mission, which has always been a little rough around the edges, but most notably, it was only a week or two ago where a young 20-something man from Venezuela was eliminated his first day on the job at a barbershop.
Greg, neighbors tell me the deadly shooting is unsettling. It happened in broad daylight with plenty of people around in a busy commercial area. A resident cleans up the debris outside a residential hotel in San Francisco's Mission District. Shattered glass left from a shooting around 1:40 Friday afternoon that left one man dead.
We hear the chop. Then we come out.
Neighbor Jason Flores tells me he heard a single gunshot. Witnesses say the victim was shot outside the barbershop and that he stumbled back inside, collapsed, and died. Neighbors describe the victim as being in his 20s and that he was from Venezuela. They say it was the victim's first day at work in the barbershop.
But I'm sure just a regular resident of San Francisco, and he had no ties to, I don't know, Venezuelan gangsters.
It's really popularized with the younger crowd, the 25 age and under range. Talking to folks out on the street, people that had them. It ranged from people that just use it in their everyday life, whether it be for work. We talked to a loss prevention person who uses it to conceal his identity while he's on the clock. We talked to people on the street that had it.
That's an outlier, right? Oh, the loss prevention guard wears one. Yeah, we found this guy. So everybody's, it's just at work. He's wearing it at work to conceal his identity from the criminals who are maybe going to be trying to steal from that establishment. And when he gets off, he's probably going to commit some sort of weirdo inside job. It's completely disgusting.
That say, we use it to kind of conceal our identity from, whether that be law enforcement or people around. And, people that use it on TikTok and social media. So it was a broad range of people who use it.
No, it wasn't. It literally wasn't. It's just criminals and one security guard you guys found who's probably also a criminal, if I know anything about San Francisco.
All right. I mean, you listed a couple of reasons, right, that people said why they wear it. But are there other things that people say they like about it? And this kind of mask in particular, right? Because there are others. There are ski masks and there are other ones that cover your whole face.
Yeah. I mean,
we just wanted you to wear the little blue sheet of paper that confirms you have submitted to the regime request. We didn't want you to wear a criminal ski mask in beautiful 75-degree sunny San Francisco.
For the most part, people that are living on San Francisco's streets as well, wear them to kind of, keep their face okay during the elements, whether that be cold weather, rain, whatnot. There's really a broad range of uses for it. But
there's really not, though. There's really not, especially not in San Francisco.
I mean, we found it particularly with the younger crowd, teenagers, high schoolers, it's kind of really taken off as being, part of their accessories list, whether that be, what kind of stuff they're carrying around in their pocket. It's just like another thing, another accessory for them to put on as they're kind of going about their day.
Okay, but some don't like this trend at all. In fact, you wrote that some store owners will actually kick you out if you're wearing one. Can you explain why?
Yeah. Tell us why some business owners don't like the mask that covers your entire face. This is eluding me. Please explain.
Yeah, I mean, it really depended on where we went. The bigger, stores like Macy's at Union Square,
which is closing,
department stores, were particularly, request people to take them off. Whereas like the smaller market store.
But it's too late, really, right? Like, The large department stores are requesting people to take off their Pooh Shiesty mask in their last 6 months of business. Okay.
In the Tenderloin tended to not have an issue because they say that they know people. They know, everybody that goes there is a regular, and they can tell who's who based on their eyes. Yeah. So it really depended on what kind of retail establishment we went to.
Whichever one's left, right? I mean, it's completely despicable, bro. In San Francisco, there's viral images of all the retailers that have left, and some of the larger retailers don't want you to wear a Pooh Shiesty mask. I wonder why.
The answers kind of varied.
Okay, but what challenges do they pose for surveillance efforts by groups like the Tenderloin Community Benefit District?
The Tenderloin Community Benefit District specifically said that, they actually have this network of cameras in the neighborhood, and it just makes it a lot more difficult when something does happen and involves, a crime happens where somebody's wearing a mask. They, have to follow that particular person from camera to camera, and it makes the job more tedious for those that are trying to, relay information to law enforcement.
So some cities have passed laws banning them? in some places?
Absolutely astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah, the debate hasn't necessarily arisen here in San Francisco on the city level, but have been places around the country that have, enacted bans. Philadelphia specifically, at the end of last year, enacted a ban on the Shiesty in places like schools and transit areas. Atlanta also brought it up for debate, and eventually tabled that and didn't go through with the Shiesty ban.
Okay, so you said San Francisco hasn't really touched it yet on a government level. Did you reach out to them to ask them what they think?
Yeah, I reached out to specifically a couple of the supervisors in the areas where we saw it the most, whether that be Soma or the Tenderloin, but we unfortunately didn't get a response back by publication time.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, I'm sure the government of San Francisco is really worried about the Shiesty mask, while the mayor of San Francisco has just returned from China and closing a giant 2 panda deal.
Some are incorporating this mask into their brand, right? And you mentioned a TikTok creator.
Yeah, we actually got in touch with South San Francisco fitness TikTok creator, Bay Area Ski Man. And his particular angle for a lot of his content was doing calisthenics exercises with the Shiesty mask on. It was a way for him to be anonymous while encouraging others to, promote a fitness lifestyle.
Yeah, right. Sounds like it was probably a joke, bro. This is crazy.
All right. Well, I guess it's not going away. So for folks interested, where do they buy them? How much are these?
I mean, you can find them pretty much at any market in the Tenderloin or in the Mission as well. These, small neighborhood stores, corner stores, and, it depends.
Yeah, if anybody wants to get a criminal accessory, as if they don't already have enough criminals in San Francisco, just let the people know where they can go get a Shiesty mask.
On what kind of quality you want. If you want something that's more nylon and thin, it might run you about anywhere from $5 to $8. If it's something that's more thicker and sturdy, it might run you about 15. So it really depends on what kind of quality you're.
What? I mean, are you going to pay for it? You're going to steal it anyways.
Looking for your Shiesty mask.
I see. Well, look, I acknowledge I'm a little older. I always say to the kids, I want to see your face, your whole face, not part of your face. So I'm not sure I quite get it, even after your fabulous report, but I acknowledge that it is definitely a trend, and I am not young. Joelle, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
ABC is completely disgusting. And, of course, I've made entire videos about not their whole organization. That could probably take days, months, years. But from George Stephanopoulos, the Epstein, the Disney connection, all the way down to their local reporters, which are reporting absolute nonsense and helping criminals in San Francisco gain access to Shiesty mask. And just for good record, this is the Wikipedia page of Pooh Shiesty, who has been credited with popularizing the mask. And naturally, he is in jail. He was arrested in October of 2020 in connection to a shooting in Florida. And on June 2021, he was arrested again. In January 2022, he pleaded guilty. And in April of 2022, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. And this is the man that they are, taking fashion cues from. And this is the song that made him famous, Back in Blood, featuring Lil Durk, 357 million views from 3 years ago, where he basically raps about committing crimes and then gets arrested for committing the crimes that he rapped about. And of course, it's featuring Lil Durk, who has been an absolute menace to Chicago for many years now. I think there's even in New York, Chicago, there's several places where he can't even perform. So this is the man who has popularized the Pooh Shiesty mask, and we're just not sure where to go get them in San Francisco. And as crime continues to skyrocket, we're going to blame police misconduct.